Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Tata Steel 2023. This is the first Elite Chess Tournament of our calendar year, featuring Magnus Carlsen, Ding Liren, and a whole list of spectacular chess players. We've got a Masters section and we have a Challengers section, and life has been pretty good. Now, in today's recap, we're going to have a lot of fun once again. All these games are exciting. First, we're going to kick it off with why the London opening is complete garbage. And why none of you should ever play it again. Just kidding. But you will see a game that is hilariously depressing that features the London. That doesn't mean that you should stop playing it. You probably can win and lose many, many games playing all sorts of openings, including the London. But top-level chess, the London, just like we saw a couple of days ago, just like the Vienna, just might not cut it. Now, we are going to kick things off, of course, with the game between Magnus Carlsen and Ding Liren. Now, this actually is a matchup of the two highest-rated chess players in the world in classical chess, which, of course, is the most prestigious format. And Magnus started out like this, and, of course, you know, c4 is the move here that you would think, but Magnus plays bishop to f4. Now, that's already a bit of a surprise, because, okay, Magnus has played the London. In fact, many credit him with the popularization of the London system over the last, like, 7 or 8 years at the highest level of the game. Big word, by the way. Game. No, popularization. I don't know many words longer than, like, 8-9 letters, so I'm very proud of that one. I'm a YouTuber, after all. We're not too smart. So, e3, e6, and normally what happens is black plays knight c6, and then knight d2, and so on, and sometimes black goes here, and sometimes black goes here, and my nose is really itchy for some reason. Ding Liren plays bishop d6. So bishop d6 is a very interesting move. The idea of bishop d6, there actually is an idea, it's to not put the knight on c6. So essentially what black wants to do is black wants to go like this, and then black wants to castle, and then black wants to play knight d7. Not knight c6. Why? Because that way your queen continues to defend and you build for the move e5 without getting in the way of your pieces. It's a very interesting system. And as you can see from the computer evaluation, black is already better according to Stockfish, which is kind of crazy. So Magnus plays bishop b5 check, essentially forcing the knight to c6, because if it moves to d7, Ding Liren would be losing a bishop and the game, and he is not Amin Tabatabai. Amin Tabatabai won that game, if you know yesterday's recap. But yeah, knight c6. And then we have takes, and essentially Magnus just goes for a position where, you know, Ding's got doubled pawns, and then maybe Magnus can make something happen, so Ding Liren trades the pawns and really just tries to get rid of his only weakness. And so if Magnus were to capture, Ding would actually have the advantage in the long run, because he has a bishop for a knight, which is considered slightly better, and the bishop is a long-range piece. Also, he would put long-term pressure on the B and C files, which actually would be very uncomfortable for white to deal with. And white has no targets at all in the black position. Like, if you think a7 is a target, I'm sorry. No disrespect whatsoever to you, but maybe checkers or poker or something else would be more suitable. Yeah, look, rook c1, Magnus plays. Ding goes c4, creating a nice connect 4. Magnus offers an exchange. Ding attacks his queen. And now we have this. So essentially, these pawns are completely, you know, interchange. Like, you can get rid of one or the other. Like, both sides have a slight weakness. Knight bd2, rook b5. And now, the one probably most important moment of this game. And Ding, of course, is a customer of Gotham courses on my website, Chessly. So, you know, in chapter, I believe it's 9 of the Middle Games Masterclass, the new course that I just put out, we have an entire chapter on when to exchange pieces and how to evaluate them. And you see, this would have been a really nice moment. Ding, if he had taken the queen, would have allowed Magnus's rook in, which is simply a bad decision. Instead, Ding undevelops his knight, attacks the queen and defends his own, so he can trade on his own terms, and now actually getting in with rook c7 does nothing, because the knight guards that, and rook b7 would be nicely playing defense. Ding, of course, did get the Middle Games Masterclass. Our 50% off sale ended yesterday, but you can still take advantage of the free sample. All my courses have free samples. So knight e5, I'll stop. Some of you in the comments are like, stop advertising your courses, and I'm like, absolutely not. What kind of a dumb marketing strategy is that? A company should hire one of you for a marketing manager. Just don't talk about the product. Brilliant. Fantastic stuff. knight d3, a5. I told you a little while ago, these pawns are kind of gonna, mutually fall off, and they do. You see Ding actually builds with his bishop and plays the move a4, and Magnus keeps a little bit of tension here, but ultimately there is really not much that can happen. The players trade everything, and they end up repeating moves between moves 34 and 37. Magnus attacks, Ding goes here. Now, they both played this game at 99% accuracy. Both of them. It was like 98.8 and 98.6. Okay? This is why the London, at the highest level of the game, sucks so much. Because you don't get to cheese anybody. You don't get to do a big attack. Everybody knows everything. These are the two best players in the world. And when you put out an opening like the London, Magnus was not looking for an opening advantage. He was just looking for a game of chess. The problem is, classical chess is just a little bit dead and uninteresting in these kinds of openings. Which is why you either got to take a risk or just be all right with draws. I mean, that's really the truth. This is a matchup of the two best slow chess players in the world. And they draw in a game where neither one of them was better ever. Yeah, put that in your... Yeah, imagine marketing this to someone. Well, actually, I forgot. You guys don't want to talk about anything marketing related. But, yeah, I mean, how are you going to advertise that? Oh, yeah, you could play your sponsor in the 3-4 hour program of this dead draw. That's the thing about classical chess. It's sometimes these things happen, The next game that I would like to show you, we have to pop over to the Challengers section, because them dudes always up to some goofy stuff, all right? Literally, as the youngins say, goofy yeah, that's like what the Challengers section is about. It's 2600s. It's the Hunger Games out here. They're hiding in trees, shooting each other with flaming bow and arrows. All right, so Abhimanyu Mishra, who holds the title for the world's youngest grandmaster, and Velimir Ivic, who holds the title for looks like a movie villain. You can't really see it in his photo, but seriously, look up Velimir Ivic. That dude, I mean, if he was a villain across from me in a movie, I'd be terrified. Anyway, we have a normal queen's pawn opening. Black develops the light squared bishop, and Abhimanyu just goes for it. All right, he just gets the bishop. Black plays bishop b4. Abhimanyu trades off pawns in the center. And actually, a couple of moves later, Black gives up his other bishop as well. Now, this looks really stupid. Really, like really stupid. You're really not supposed to trade bishops for knights. I tell you guys like 8 times out of 10, 7 times out of 10, not really a good, thing. And he traded both of them. Knights are only going to compete against bishops when the board is closed. And the board is closed when a lot of pawns are on each side. And in this case, there are 7 pawns per side. Now, if you talk about which of these two bishops is better, you got to talk about the one that actually has some scope, okay? And is standing on an opposite color of the pawns. And that's probably the light squared bishop. Now, this bishop could come to b4, but then the queen moves, and the pawn attacks the bishop, and the bishop would just depart. Actually, a5 just prevents that entirely, and now we have knight e4. Another thing that that really helps knights in their battle against bishops is gluing knights into central positions with pawns. And right now, that knight is really good. Just so you understand how important this bishop is to the white position, after bishop takes e4, and let's say something like queen e4, and I mean, I don't even, f3, you see black is already better. You understand? Like, this bishop is just really a big pawn. That bishop is just pretending to be a bishop. So king f1 played, and now Abhimanyu walks over to g2 and kicks out the knight. Now, again, if bishops can open up, let's just very hypothetically say something like this happens. This is not going to happen, but let's just say something like this happens and something like this happens, okay? With e5 and bishop, look what happens to the evaluation. It's +4. Just 2 pawn trades, and the bishops suddenly come alive, right? The black king is weak, etc., etc. Yeah, but black is going to try to keep the position shut. So he shuts down the queen side. He plays knight b6, knight c4. I love the knights, all right? These knights, Gari, b5. Now, Abhimanyu shuts down the position so he can play h4, h5. But queen f7, and rook e6, and rook e8. And Abhimanyu's still trying. Now, make no mistake, this position is absolutely deadlocked. Nobody can beat anybody. Rook e1, knight b7. You ever get one of those games in Blitz where you can just shuffle back and forth and basically do nothing? Like, if white just plays rook c1, rook e1, maybe black is going to try to get in, but it's, well, Abhimanyu plays e4. Boom, boom, all right? Position's opening up. Now we have bishop takes c4, and then he puts his bishop on e5. Here's the problem. Queen e6, queen e3, and it looks like black cannot make any further progress. The knight is stupid. If it goes to a5, that's great. What happens when it goes to b3? Nothing. It doesn't scare anybody. Queen g3, queen g4, queen g3. But knight c5! An impossible looking move. And when the knight arrives on this square, best believe Abemanyu's gonna feel that. You best believe it. And if you take this knight, after queen e5, you get smushed. So very nice maneuver here. I guess either missed or underestimated by Abemanyu. And now this beautiful move d4. And the point is that white cannot take because queen g4, and that's a g-g, as the kids say. I don't think they say that. It's checkmate. Have you ever seen a triple ladder checkmate? Well, in the center of a board? Look at this. Look at this. A triple ladder mate in the center of a board, just like middle game. Of course, white doesn't have to do that. He can lose in other ways. And Abemanyu just starts getting steamrolled by these pawns. Ivic, even though he's complete, look at, I mean, rook f2, rook f7, and Ivic wins this game in style. He trades into a winning endgame, but he wins this in style. It looks like the pawns have been stopped, but c1 queen. You cannot take with the rook because you're in check. So you have to go here, and now I will play d2. And then I will promote to a bishop, and then I will take all your pawns, and then I will make 2 more bishops, and I will mate you. Very nice win from Ivic. Very nice game. Complex game. Back and forth game. Abemanyu tried his best, but he was just outclassed in this one. I mean, Ivic really came to play. Now, I have another game for you. Erwin Leamy looking to bounce back against Mustafa Yilmaz in this game. Erwin lost to Eline Roberts last game. Very, very strong game from her. She was just dominant. She's a young player from the Netherlands, and she drew a 2600 this game. It wasn't like a crazy game or interesting, but she drew, and it wasn't, okay, I suppose you could say it's interesting, but it wasn't, you know, not much. And Mustafa Yilmaz, I think, is like the 2nd or 3rd highest rated player in the entire country of Turkey. Good to see him in the tournament. F4, and now A4. Very complex Knighter of Sicilian, and Erwin just plays G4. Now, you look at that and you go, whoa, what the heck is Erwin doing? No, he didn't blunder that. The idea is to go here and open up the G file, and white has some serious attacking possibilities, which is why black doesn't take. White goes knight d5 and wins the pawn back, and I gotta tell you, from the opening, I like white's position. The computer thinks it's equal because the computer is, you know, doesn't really have any emotions. It doesn't like or dislike anything. But just visually speaking, I like white's pieces and I like white's space. Now, Erwin plays e5. E5 breaks a couple of principles, okay? Such as maybe not opening the position when your king is still in the center. And I mean, his king is like really in the center. It's not like a little in the center. Like his king's got no, like black is gonna castle and, you know, it looks safe. But Erwin probably thought that, you know, he had some sort of aggressive attacking idea. Black plays bishop e6, though. Now, if you take, here's the problem with having too many loose pieces in the center. I just talked about this, all right? Now, you think you're holding it all together. You ain't, because this is going to collapse. So he goes e takes d6. He gives away the bishop, and now queen d4. 1 hanging piece, 2 hanging piece, 3 hanging piece, 4 hanging pieces in the position. And yet, Mustafa, cool, calm, and collected. Knight back to e6. A nice and simple exchange. Look at the position. Black has a nice 3 and 2. White has a 2 and 3. But look at white's pawns. What the heck are you? I mean, white wishes he can bring this back here. I don't know what this pawn's doing, right? Rook d1, queen e7. And if white continues to try defending his pieces, knight takes g5 is a check. Knight g5, it's discovered check. So after castles, knight g5, and yeah, I mean, Mustafa's just gonna castle. He has 5 pawns. White has 4. Stockfish draws this position with white against any human being on the planet. Any. I don't care if you put Magnus, Hikaru, Anish, myself, although I would make that team worse, Ludwig, Eric Rosen all on one team. Stockfish, doesn't matter how many humans you combine, it's not cumulative. Stockfish very easily draws this with white. It creates a little counterplay against these pawns. It defends everything, and worse comes to worse, it probably makes a draw in an endgame. Here's the problem. Erwin Leamy is not Stockfish, and this position is really annoying to defend with white because your king is wide open, and black has a 3-on-1, which is much more vicious than a 3-on-2. okay? A 3-on-1 moves fast, and you feel the lopsided nature of the imbalance very quickly. And did I mention that White's king is very weak? Because look at this. Oh my goodness, queen g6 back. Rook takes h2. I mean, that is terrifying. Rook d2, queen b3, and not to mention these pawns are still weak. And it takes 38 moves, and Erwin decides he's had enough right here. And a big win from Mustafa Yilmaz. I mean, with black and this level of chess to win is not easy. Not easy at all. So, yeah, I mean, you know, it's weird because Erwin played such an aggressive line like g4. I mean, when you commit to this, you gotta have bulletproof preparation. I mean, I don't know where his preparation kind of ran out, but seemed like black had a completely reasonable kind of response to the opening. And yeah, I guess here he just rushed with e5. But to be honest with you, I don't really know what else you play because I don't know this opening. But it just seems like I mean, this is so risky, right? But so Erwin, unfortunately on a 2-game losing streak. I mean, I'm not featuring him in the recap. It's just, I don't know Erwin, so... but he's looking to bounce back, and another win in the challenger section goes to Yilmaz. Now, 2 very fun games to end this recap. First of all, we have Fabiano Caruana, we have Jordan van Forest, and we have a Petrov defense. No Stafford Gambit, sadly. Knight f3, we have takes, d4, d5, all seen before. And now Jordan plays... So first of all, in this position, Jordan plays a move I've never seen in my life. In this position, I have seen knight c6, bishop f5, bishop d6, bishop e7, and I'm pretty sure I've seen c6. Jordan plays bishop here and a stonewall setup like this. Now, folks, that's bold. Why is it bold? Well, let me tell you. Dark squares. Extremely weak. This is extremely committal stuff. When you play like this, positionally backward chess, you need to be able to guarantee that you can create some sort of chaos in the position. Otherwise, white is forever better. Now, Jordan does. He gives away the knight. If Fabiano takes, Jordan is going to go here, and it's very difficult to deal with the attack. So what does Fabiano do? He just doesn't take the knight. Just treats Jordan like, you know, like one of those crazy people on the street with the microphone that yells, you know, conspiracy theories. He's like, yeah, shut. Like, just walk around you a little bit. You know, Jordan's still sitting there like, and I got to tell you, he got a nice... I like what Jordan's doing here. Problem is... Fabi's just, you know, bishop e5, nice and easy, taking advantage of the dark squares. And in positions like this, sometimes the computer says it's equal, but it's very hard to handle with black. It's not hard to handle white's position. Knight d2, rook e1, right? Maybe fighting back. Like, watch, f4. He gives away this, but, you know, well, again, the dark squares. Now, Jordan can, of course, come back. Well, here we have knight a3. Jordan plays rook e8. And just knight c2, so now Fabi's going either that way or that way. Now, the reason why Jordan's just not rushing to come back is because this knight is of a far higher quality than its counterpart, because it actually has some targets. And at some point, you will probably just take and leave this knight for the rest of the game. So bishop goes back to d8, and Jordan just will not stop. I mean, he just will not stop. He is putting every single pawn he has, like that, just all out and about. And Fabi's like, all right, a4. Now, if you take me, you have doubled isolated pawns. Queen c2. Jordan plays h5. I think one of Jordan's friends or fellow participants in the event said, Jordan, if you can move every pawn this game to a light square, I will give you €1,000. I don't know. I mean, or maybe I'll just, you know, but he still has to move this one, so I don't know. Now, Jordan gives up the pawn because he's trying to, you know, b takes a3. At some point, he has to play a6 or else he fails the quest, right? So takes, and remember how very early in the opening I told you about the dark squares? Yeah, I mean, that's still a problem. Jordan has 5 out of 6 pawns, all on light squares. King g1, now he has dark square pawn, but now Fabi finds knight g4. And I don't know, I think Jordan sacrificed this pawn. I don't think he blundered it. The point is that queen g6 is game over. Queen g7 and mate. So knight g4, bishop d5. Fabi just comes back, and I basically think Jordan was like, okay, I'm going to sack the pawn. I'm going to use the g file. Fabi was like, I'm gonna sacrifice the rook. That one doesn't get a scream because it's very natural. So Fabi has a knight and 2 pawns for the rook. You ain't telling me these are 5-point rooks. I'm sorry. All right? They're just not. And, well, what can I say? You know? I mean, they're just not very good. And, yeah. Rook e6. Rook b1. Rook b8. And Fabiano just methodical. Slowly advances forward, defends everything in his position. Queen d5 check. Bishop d... Beautiful stuff. Trades. Wins another pawn. He's up 3 pawns now. 4 pawns. And this endgame is an easy win as he gets his king. And by the way, very nice little idea here. You cannot take because pawn just promotes. Nobody can stop it. Fabi wins on move 46. This game was a weird one. Jordan played for a win with black, clearly. He did not want to, like, just make a draw. But he almost played like he was on tilt, and it's round 3. I mean, he's not on tilt. Everything's all right, you know what I mean? Like, this is the way you play when you're like, oh my god, like, I gotta win this game. I don't know. I mean, it seemed like Fabi just played like a responsible game, you know? Took advantage of the dark squares, played solid, and he just sort of let Jordan just go forward, like B5 and all this. And Fabi was just like, all right, A4, and then he just took the pawn on, you know what I mean? I don't know. It seemed like definitely there was some questions asked of Fabiano, but he answered all of them, and then he probably went and drank a beer at the only bar in Vaikanze, because what else do you do in Vaikanze except drink beer and hope to leave? Sorry, I got some beef with this little town. I'm pretty sure there's like nothing there. Dutch folks who are watching this, is Vaikanze just like a random town where it rains a lot? Because that's what it looks like in photos. A nice win for Fabiano. Now, folks, if you had the patience to watch this recap for 22 minutes, thank you. You are amazing. You are the reason this channel is growing. I've got a very fun game to end this recap for you. My guy, Jurgis Pečak, is just, like, on a mission to make it into every recap. Like, and God bless him, okay? His opponent for this game is Thomas Birtzen, who I believe is, like, the highest rated IM in the world. I mean, he is just absolutely deserving of the GM title. I think he's been, like, 25-30. He probably will get the norm soon. So anyway, Jurgis in the first round got posterized. He got dunked on. In the second round, he played a fascinating game, but it unfortunately did not go his way. And now he is involved in a scrap once again. B4. All right, he's like the Justin Gaethje of the challenger section, or the Michael Chandler. He's the Michael Chandler. He doesn't care win or lose. He's gonna come to fight. He accepts the Evans Gambit somewhere. Agad Matar just said hello, everyone, or I don't know, whatever he does when he wants to celebrate something. And, you know, white plays queen b3, and black is playing normal stuff. He's entering theory, defending, bishop b6, and yes, I mean, white gets a very aggressive and interesting position. Now, here Jurgis plays f6, which I gotta tell you, I do not understand, but I think he's just trying to support the center more or something, and white plays a4. White is preparing bishop b5, and also in the future, just a5. So knight e7, the bishop slides back to a2, yet another idea of the move a4, and basically, from this point in the game, you know, black is like, okay, I'm going to take up this really idiotic looking structure with my queen and my pieces, but I'm respecting the fact that the Evans Gambit is dangerous. Dangerous. I don't know what a dangerous opening is. Pawn takes d4, c takes d4, and now we have knight d4, bishop d4. Okay, black is now up 2 pawns. 2 pawns up for black. Why is he worse? Why does the computer say 0.5? Because he's not castled, because his queen is in front of all his pieces, because he has 2 pawns on dark squares, while this light squared bishop shish kebabs his position. What the hell are these bozos doing? What is the knight on a5 doing? Sightseeing? It pulled off on the side of the road to take a look at the view? I mean, seriously, rook d1, queen e7. And what do you do when a man has pieces in the center of the board, including the king? You rip open the center. That pawn can be taken in 4 different ways. It really should not be taken this way, because you would lose your queen, but it can still be taken the other ways. Now, again, it should not be taken this way because you would lose your queen. But, you know, I digress. So f takes e5. Now, the best move here was knight b3, with the idea to meet bishop e5 with f4. And also, wait a minute. Excuse me. I forgot that this knight could take that knight. So the best move was knight b3. And if knight takes b3, queen b3, there is no bishop e6. So now the queen cannot, the bishop cannot move because the queen hits the pawn. Wow, that was, dude, this is why I make funny YouTube videos about their games and they actually play the games, because I had a long day. All right, bishop d5, and in this position, Jurgis Peshach plays king to d8. Look at Thomas Bjornsson's pieces. I mean, they literally cannot get any better. So now he takes the knight, he takes the pawn, and the wrecking ball is about to just go full force. Rook c1 attacks the pawn, the bishop comes back. This was the moment in the game where Thomas Bjornsson played knight takes e5, and I thought it was over. I mean, it's gotta be over. Here's the point. You can play queen f2, I just go here. Mate is unstoppable, okay? Pawn takes, I got rook d1 check. Same thing if bishop f2. If you take my knight, I simply play rook d1 check, and your king has no legal moves, so he will die. Okay, like in a few moves. So the only move black has is like rook e8. There's another one, which is just really stupid. I'm not going to show you. And now white has only one winning idea. He played the second best move in the game. In this position, white wins by playing the move a5. And then, after this, deflecting the bishop off of this diagonal, playing bishop takes d6. The move bishop takes d6 was actually played in the game, but here's the difference, okay? In the game, he played it like without those two moves. We had takes, check, sacrificing the knight, check, blocks, taking the rook, and then taking here. But then king d8 was played. Right? King d8, and they ended up repeating moves a little bit later. So they traded the queens, and this endgame is a draw, because even though white has a rook against two bishops, the pieces will be traded. So what the heck is the difference between playing bishop d6 with the pawn sacrifice or not? Here is the difference. a5, bishop a5, bishop d6. Okay, cd6. In the game, there was knight f7. Same thing. What? What the heck is going on? It's the exact same situation. Queen d7. What is the difference? Rook e8, king e8. You say, what is the difference? Queen b8. It's literally the same thing, right? The bishop was here, and king d8 was played in the game. The difference, my friends, the difference is that with the bishop on a5, you have queen to f4, threatening queen g5 check, which would win the bishop. And if this, which was the move played in the game, you have take, and that is a freaking fork. Thomas Bjornsson had to see a 10-move combination where the bishop was on a different square. And the point was that in the game, the same exact sequence of moves happened, but queen f5 was played, and you did not have take, rook c5, forking the bishops. That is the way we end today's recap. There is a link in the description if you would like to look at all the games and check the standings. It's actually there today, I did not forget. Thanks for watching. Stop playing the London at the top level of chess. I will see you in the next video. Get out of here.